Makenna Blackman and Daniel Silvas, proud Californians with conservative values. Dive into the Golden State's latest news, laws, and national stories. No fluff, no filter, just raw, honest takes on how these issues impact you. Tune in for truth, laughs, and bold perspectives. Let's get started.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. As you can see, Daniel is not here tonight, but we have the wonderful Gio filling in for him. Things are a little bit laggy on my end, so hopefully this goes smooth tonight. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The California Unfiltered will be now moved to Monday nights at 6 p.m. live. So hopefully Daniel will be there next week, so make sure you tune in for that. So Gio, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I appreciate you coming on tonight and helping me out, so it really helps.
Well, as soon as you said it, I was like, it's been my dream to be on California Unfiltered. so much appreciated.
Cool. Awesome. So, okay. Tonight we have a wonderful guest with us. His name is Chris Boyle. Let's go ahead and welcome him on. Chris, thank you for joining us today. I think it went on. My transitions are slow. Of course, of course. Okay. Looks like we have a little tech issue on my end, so sorry about that.
No worries. Oh, there I am. I can see myself.
Wonderful. Okay. So, Chris, go ahead and tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I work at One America News. I'm currently in their news division. I used to host their late night show, Nights with Chris Boyle. As you could tell, I had the job of at least carrying most of the show. My name was on it. That was a lot of fun. Right now, I'm doing some investigative work. That's even more fun. I got started working in local politics. Actually, I didn't get started working. I got started when I went to the grocery store and I tried to get groceries and they told me I had to pay 10 cents for a stupid plastic bag. I know it's not the most noble way to get involved in politics, but I realized very quickly that when smart people or good people or honest people stop paying attention, idiots take control of power. I didn't want that to be the world that I lived in, so I got involved in local campaigns. And then 2016 happened and kind of changed everything. From there, I started working congressional races, trying to make a bigger difference, and eventually I got hired on at One America News, and that's where you find me today.
Awesome. So I saw a video you posted. You were met, I don't know if I want to call him a protester or what, about Matt Gates. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that was an incident that happened a few weeks, almost a month ago now. And honestly, I would probably handle it a little differently based on things that have happened since then. So I was pulling back into the office after going on just a little lunch break, short, no more than 30 minutes, I promise, if the bosses are watching. And when I was coming back, as I was entering the gate, we have the top security in the world, the best security. It's really hands down top class. And as I was going into our ultra secure gate, I see this woman approaching me from my right hand side, from the passenger side. Now, a little bit of background on myself. I did a lot of campus politics, so I'm not afraid of confrontation. In fact, back when I was president of the College Republicans Club at Cal State Fullerton, I had a professor actually slap a student at a protest, and I had to put the guy in a chokehold until the police came and arrested him. So I'm usually not afraid of confrontation. So when this woman came and stuck a camera in my face, I was more than happy to engage. It turned out she was a crazy person and started singing to herself in the camera like Marla Singer on Fight Club. So I just tried to tried to de-escalate the situation as best I could. But I do have to say, honestly, now I'm just thankful that she didn't, pull out a pistol and shoot me in the face. Things have gotten a lot more real and a lot more scary in the last few weeks. So, incidents like that, they're more troubling than they used to be, McKenna. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, you have to be careful. So, but she has a background, right?
She
I think
does.
I heard about
So
that.
I didn't know anything about this individual before she approached me, which she was shocked at when she said her name. She said, "I'm Chelsea Gosh," or whatever her name was. Chelsea Gross, whatever it was. She was surprised that I didn't know who she was. I quickly learned she posted this video, and I believe she tagged me in it. And somebody reached out to me on Instagram, and they sent me this message. I'm not going to say the name of the person who sent it, but they alleged that this woman had come from, I believe it was Utah, that she had a long list of legal problems, had a side career as an OnlyFans model, all sorts of very, very strange, dark stuff. Had a history of I guess, stalking. All of this, I can't really verify any of it. This came through an anonymous message, but what this does say to me is, at the very least, this is someone who has a lot of red flags surrounding them. So it's someone that I personally want to be very wary of.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Again, all allegedly in
Yeah.
Minecraft.
Yeah. Let's not get in trouble. Although I saw the video and I was pretty pumped up. I wish I was you in that moment.
Well, speaking of allegations, I mean, that's what she came there to do. She came there to throw allegations at our broadcast network, at our anchors.
And Matt
And,
Gates.
we do seem to be in an age where people can very willingly bend the truth or even outright lie. And we do have freedom of speech in this country, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you can go out and put someone in a dangerous situation and you use lies to do it. And I think that's what we have to be aware of today, because we live in a day and age with a lot less privacy and a lot more access to information. And honestly, people who are much more willing to travel and go at great lengths to do harm to people that they're ideologically aligned against.
Mm-hmm.
I was honestly really surprised that you said she was from out of state. She came to California, Southern California, just to meet with you in the parking lot and yell at you about Matt Gates at the gate.
She's a gate crasher. What can I say?
Something about you, Chris.
It's that magnetism. It just draws in the crazy people for some reason. Some people have animal magnetism. My magnetism draws in schizophrenics. It works 60% of the time every time.
I'm just glad you didn't put her in a chokehold.
I would have loved to see
Thankfully, I
that,
was
though.
able to just roll my windows up this time around.
Oh, that's too funny. Oh, gosh. But a big headline today, Jimmy Kimmel, he got fired, essentially, so.
Aw.
Yes. Some late night shows do deserve to be canceled.
I mean, I'm with you there, so.
This is one, I see a lot of people very torn up about it in right-wing media. There's some diehard free speech advocates who say, no, Jimmy Kimmel has absolutely every right to, lie and slander and endanger people and do whatever he wants. And, let's just forget the fact that the left was making the same arguments about the free marketplace of ideas resulting in people getting fired just a handful of years ago, and honestly still continue to do so today. If the shoes, they just tried to get Sydney Sweeney fired for wearing jeans and having blue eyes simultaneously. So, while I do want to be ideologically consistent, it's hard to take their arguments genuinely. I will say, I think, personally, if I was, if I was Nexstar, and those are the ones who really led to this, right? Not just Disney, but it was Nexstar Media who, a number of their affiliate broadcast stations said, hey, we don't want to rebroadcast this because we don't want to open ourselves up to liability, both to the FCC and to, probably, quite frankly, Charlie Kirk's estate. I imagine they're feeling very feisty at the moment. So I think Nexstar made a business decision that's based off of the realities that going out and spreading misinformation very knowingly can incur. And that's something that the right has had to deal with. We've had to realize that, yes, if you want to speak things that are controversial, it comes with costs. That's why we had to create Rumble. That's why President Trump made Truth Social. So I'll repeat the same thing to Kimmel that they repeated to me. Jimmy Kimmel, go start a Rumble channel. Go build your own broadcast station. That's what they told us. Go build everything from scratch. Go build your own entire infrastructure from scratch, and then you can speak freely. Because honestly, when the founding fathers wanted to speak anonymously, what were they doing? They were using printing press to hand press stuff and handing out pamphlets anonymously. Jimmy, if you want to get your message out, by God, you still can. But capitalism is not a guarantor of your ability to speak freely.
Chris, I'd like to challenge you on that because Jimmy Kimmel was on ABC, right? He was on ABC, and he had worse numbers than what's the guy on Fox? Guilfoyle?
Gutfeld?
Gutfeld?
Yeah.
Worse numbers than Gutfeld, who you have to pay for cable for to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't think anybody's really interested in watching Kimmel. Nobody's gonna download Rumble to watch Kimmel.
No, I unfortunately for Kimmel think you're correct. I don't know if he's getting any royalties from the Man Show, but that's probably his most popular work to date.
Yeah, it's been years. I have to admit, I used to be a late show guy. I used to like to stay up late and watch Conan, and even George Lopez, as liberal as he is, as super left. I don't know how you land on the spectrum here, but um, Kimmel has never ever been funny, in my opinion. In my opinion,
No.
I think that the South African comedian that had the late show. Uh, I thought he was funnier than Kimmel.
Trevor Noah got. I will say Trevor Noah got better. He started out really bad. He was really, really
Yeah.
terrible. He's a guy who, I've listened to him on a couple of podcasts. I listened to him on a Kevin Hart's podcast, and he does sound like someone who tried to put in the work, but I don't think he had the chops coming in. I think he came in really weak. He was kind of a DEI hire, quite frankly, and I think if he had put in some more work beforehand, he could have been more ripened for the position. But I think that by the time he grew into the position, they had already gotten a reputation for not being Jon Stewart's late show. So I think
Yeah.
that was Trevor Noah's big problem. I mean, he kept making all these weird racial jokes about the United States at a time where people weren't really, and that was before like George Floyd, but people still weren't hot on it. It's hard to come in as a foreigner and do that trite, honestly, the British played that out. I think Russell Brand really played that thing out, that whole like aloof foreigner judging down on our culture thing. I don't think people were really, really laughing at that for more than one bit. And, when you put your entire comedic persona on one, kind of one bit, it doesn't really care. Same with the guy, God, I forget the guy's name off the top of my head, but the dude who does the Russia jokes, like I got drunk in Russia with the mafia, and that's like his entire persona. You have to grow beyond a single bit. That's why Conan O'Brien was one of the best. He came in with a ton of experience from being a writer for The Simpsons. He had done a ton of comedic writing for the past. I believe he was a writer for SNL as well. He was someone who came in with a lot of ideas about what he wanted to bring to the table. He was dealt a number of bad hands, and that allowed him to really work hard and prime the pump. So when he got into his position, he was able to deliver high quality entertainment. And I don't see that out of any of the late night guys. Kimmel is just unfunny and slovenly. Fallon is, he tries, but he's just twee. That's his entire.
Fallon
That's his
is
entire person. Doesn't go beyond that.
Fallon is hit or
Colbert's
miss,
a has
and
been, and it
more
never
misses than any.
was. So there's no one really doing it. Seth Meyers, who even is he? He's like an extra. These guys, they're not doing anything. It's a bummer.
I've never been into the late night show host talk show guys, so I'm glad they're gone. Personally, I really don't care. So,
well, Trump's calling for the rest of them to get fired too, because
yeah,
realistically, none of them are funny.
No, The View might be next though.
Trump says that as someone who's a fan of the format, right? Trump went on late night shows. Trump watched late night shows. Trump enjoys late night shows. He's not a hater. He's not someone who's criticizing it as boring or unfunny at its base level. He really has an issue with these particular hosts and their delivery and their politicization of the shows. And quite frankly, I agree with him. I don't think late night is a dead format at all. If you look, there's a lot of online shows that do very, very well that are doing a similar thing. You mentioned Gutfeld, but the number of online programs that are doing late night style formats, they're uncountable. They're innumerable. They're like the sand on the beach, the stars in the sky, and people really enjoy them and they do numbers. But the guys who are actually getting the network platforms, they suck, and that's because of internal politics, 100%.
It's absolutely true. I mentioned Gutfeld earlier. I couldn't remember his name. I think he's hilarious, and that's just politics aside. His jokes are great, and he's off the top. He's spot on. He's funny. He's the right guy. I think he's the right guy for a late night, but I don't think he would. I don't think they would bring him over to like an ABC. They'd be too scared, and the writers wouldn't enjoy that. I don't think.
Probably not.
No, he'd have to bring his own team. He has a good team over there at Fox. They write some funny jokes. He works with some really solid people. He's got a lot of good support, and he's a witty guy too. He's sharp.
Witty.
He's very dry.
Exactly.
And that's something you don't get. A lot of late night guys are very easily over the top. It's hard to be wry like that. And, some of the best, quite frankly, were. You look at a Letterman, very, very wry dude.
Yeah, Letterman was hilarious. Leno was hilarious, and there was some sparks there. You just can't compare the follow ups. George Lopez just didn't have that certain vibe that they gave off, and really, it's just gotten worse, progressively worse, since they left. I think from 2008 to today, every year I tune in and I'm like, man, this is awful. What's going on in the writers' room? Do they really laugh at this stuff, or is it just, oh, the lefty kids on the college campus are going to love this, or it's all political. Uh, it's not even satire. It's just political. You
Yeah.
know,
I think Jay Leno said
propaganda.
something about like you can make political jokes, but it can't be your whole bit because you're gonna lose like half of the audience.
Well, it needs to be funny though.
Well, yeah,
It's got to be funny. You can make political jokes. This just would make me
definitely.
laugh.
Well, Gio,
Yeah.
I think you touched on something. I think when you get political, it allows you to get lazy. There's a term that I've heard in
Mhm.
comedy called clapause instead of just applause, and laughing. People like clap and do that while they laugh, like ha 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 ha. And what they're really doing is not genuinely reacting like a belly laugh. They're affirming what you said to be true as kind of, a virtue signal, a value statement. And when people can do that, when they could just say, well, how about that orange man, orange man bad, and everyone laughs and claps, you don't actually have to say anything funny. You can just signal that we're all on the same team, and that's all it takes. And, eventually you're going to end up with a bunch of guys who are bad at their job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And there's been, I mean, you can go back to the 90s when they made fun of Bill Clinton, when they made fun of George Bush in the 2000s, Obama, and then
Mhm.
somewhere with Obama they kind of took the foot off the pedal a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know why. But when they came back into politics with Trump, it was kind of weird. Like, like we get it. He's orange, and we get it. He's got funny hair, but and he's got a way with words in his hands. But I mean, he got to be better than this. There's so much content from Trump from all the way back to the 80s. We can do better than this, writers.
Yeah, I mean, the glazing of Obama was semi forgivable because it's like, he's our historic black president, and they all wanted to be part of this moment, and there was the hope and change picture, and we're all supposed to come together, and then he, really was not much of a uniter figure, but that's an entirely different conversation. And I could forgive them clowning on Trump because that is their job, even if they didn't do it with Obama. They're supposed to make fun of stuff, and Trump is he's a genuinely funny dude. Not in just the terms of like, oh, haha, look at that clown. Like he has a sense of humor, he has a killer sense of humor. So I get that they ran with that a little, and he has a lot of idiosyncrasies. That's actually what I like about him. What killed me was that they didn't do it with Biden. When Biden was so ridiculous, dude. I mean, everything about that guy, it's like insane. Like it feels like contrived. Like it literally feels like if you were writing some sort of like Truman Show. Like I feel like literally my life, like you guys are about to start like hitting the panic button because there must be a camera in there, and they got lazy writers for a season because when they were filming My Life in Politics, that was bad writing. Like they couldn't write a character as villainous and absurd as Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and their entire cadre of manipulators. And the fact that the media didn't want to run with that and make fun of it and make a billion cartoons. I mean, God, during the Bush era, Comedy Central, they would just greenlight anything. They had that show Little Bush. Remember, it was like a
Yeah,
chibi version.
I
Oh,
do
God,
remember
they
Little
would
Bush.
greenlight any project that was remote making fun of Bush, just because he was a little silly sometimes. But Biden is literally stapling pieces of himself back on while he's shambling onto stage, and you couldn't even crack a giggle without being called a conspiracy theorist. It's nuts.
Yeah, you make a great point with the little Bush, and you think about Kimmel, who's just canceled, and it's like, you know, at some point you were funny and you were edgy. I mean, for goodness sake, he had the Charles Barkley blackface. At one point he was edgy, and then now he's just this soft, on the edge, just making fun of the right wing and making fun of conservatives and MAGA and Trump. It's yeah.
yeah. I mean, so for people who might not know, so Kimmel got canceled because of what he said. I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, he said something about a MAGA supporter is the one who shot Charlie Kirk. I think that's what the comment got him axed. So
Yeah, so I mean, that's basically it. He was on and he said something to the effect of, oh, everyone's upset about Charlie Kirk getting killed. It was one of their guys that did it. It was a MAGA guy that did it, or something along those lines.
yes,
And, some people are saying, like, oh, it wasn't even that edgy of a joke. That's kind of the point, right? If he had been making an edgy joke, dude, I would love to see Kimmel in blackface again. I would love to see him doing something goofy. Like, if he did the Aristocrats, I wouldn't care. Like, that, well, maybe not on, television where kids can watch, but my point isn't that he was too edgy, right? If he had done that, then there might be an argument. I would have found it distasteful, but if he had made a joke about Charlie Kirk even dying that was edgy and distasteful, I would have found it disgusting. But if it had been funny, I would have said, well, I don't know, maybe not for the format. I mean, late night shows is not the place to be doing that. It's not a stand up bit. Late night show is supposed
True.
to be a little more touchy feely. So you don't really go making overly hardcore jokes about dead people. And you certainly don't go slandering people. And that's the point I was trying to get to. I got a little derailed there, but it didn't sound like he was just making a joke. It sounded much more like honest commentary that was wrapped in a little bit of amusement and chuckling. And he was really trying to convince people of this fact that's been going on from a lot of different, very disingenuous voices, that this guy was some sort of right-wing gun nut who just happened to be a member of the DSA and be sleeping with a transsexual. So, I don't. I must be in very different conservative circles, because that's not what I associate with the right wing. But shame on Kimmel for that. Shame on him.
yeah. What were both of your guys' initial reaction to hearing that he got shot? When I first heard about it, a coworker texted me. I was like, "You're lying to me right now. There's no way," because I wasn't watching TV. I was just at a random event in my own world, and then I get a message that Charlie Kirk has been shot. It just didn't seem real to me. It kind of hits home a little bit for me because I'm not gonna sit here and claim I knew Charlie Kirk, but I went to college in Phoenix at GCU, and Turning Point was huge there. It was massive, and a couple of my friends work there still at the headquarters in Phoenix, so I got to know the whole Turning Point, I guess, organization, or those who were like close to Turning Point. So at one point I was trying to work for them, so it just seemed unreal for me. So
Yeah, it was. I gotta be honest. This one hit me a lot different than the Trump assassination attempt, and not just because, obviously, because Trump survived, but
mhm.
yeah, I was again coming back from my lunch break. It's weird. I don't know why this keeps happening when I go out to lunch. I have to stop taking lunches. Just eat in my office. But I was coming back from my lunch break, and it's funny. Usually, because of the work I do, I kind of know everything that's going on. I'm like Odin with my ravens, flying out and coming back in all the time. And
Looks like we lost Chris there.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if that was just on my end. Hopefully he comes back.
Yeah, hopefully he does. Let's switch back to
Let's go ahead and
interview. And if he comes back, then we'll be.
Oh, we got him.
He's back.
I'm back. I don't know
Welcome
what happened there. The deep state, they tried to get me.
Well, the problem is you told everybody the secret is you went to lunch.
Yeah. Well, that's
The deep
why
state
they
was
said,
like,
oh, no,
cut
it's
it,
a lunch break.
cut his
We
feed,
gotta
cut his
shut
feed.
him down.
He just gave it all away.
While he's out lunching, we're setting the stage for global disaster. Yeah. So my mom ended up calling me, and I hadn't heard about the story, and she was like freaked out. She's a.
He said lunch again.
Oh, this is funny.
Let's leave him there. I'll when he comes back in, we'll put him back on. I'll give my reaction because
Yeah.
I was on the phone with somebody at Lead, and we were going over some plans for later that night, and he goes,
Mhm.
"Oh my God, Charlie Kirk was just shot," and I was like, "What do you mean Charlie Kirk was just shot?" So I go and Google it, and there's nothing there. You
Yeah.
know, when there's a shooting, the media is all over it. It's all online.
Quick. Yeah.
And I was like, no, there's nothing there. So I start look going. I immediately go to X because if you want to know what's happening exactly right now,
Exactly.
you go to X.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and there was video clips of the event, and you can hear a shot, and they show Kirk, and he has like this sudden movement, and I was like, I don't think he got hit.
I thought it
I
was
mean,
fake at first.
well,
Like I thought the video was fake.
yeah, it showed him make that movement, and I'm like, I don't see any blood, so I go to photos of previously in the day, and I'm looking zooming into the shirt, and I'm like, I think he's wearing a vest. I'm pretty sure he's wearing a vest. Either that or
Okay.
he's got a really thick undershirt on.
Mhm.
So I was convinced, and then the close up video came out, and I was like, man, this AI is crazy. Like, who would make of this AI video
That's what I was thinking that too
with
at
the blood
first.
pouring out? This is disgusting. Who would do
Yeah.
this? I started to realize, oh my god,
Actually
this
happened.
is real. It honestly, it was just devastating. It was. I was disgusted. I was thrown back. I'm new to this, Chris. This little thing where I'm putting my opinions out there. I'm new to this, so I was like, I have to stop doing this because I
Yeah.
don't want to get killed.
Gosh.
Um, and I started to realize, I'll probably never be on a Charlie Kirk level. Um, but even then, it's I let I can't let the fringe left or just the just some terrorist out there scare me away from using my First Amendment right. But yeah, it was devastating. So back to your mom. Your mom called you.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, I just gotta say this one hit me really close to home because, I mean, it felt extremely personal, right? I'm not someone who's like super close to Charlie Kirk. There's a ton of people out there. He worked with a lot of people. I did meet him on a handful of occasions, but I got involved in campus politics right around the time that Turning Point USA was kind of kicking off. So I'm very, I was familiar with the organization and Charlie and his work from the start, and we're very close in age, and similar circumstance. He has a couple of kids. I have a couple of kids, so it just it's not when you see someone like Donald Trump getting shot at, it's awful and it's shocking, right? But that's a politician. Obviously, they're not supposed to get shot at, but Reagan got shot at, and it's something that it's a bad thing, but it's not like a I'm not the president. I'm a lot more like Charlie Kirk than I am like Donald Trump. Let me just put it that way. And
Yeah,
it was very easy for me to empathize with the situation and personalize
it's
it.
more relatable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. All right, buddy. That was my kid busting in the room. Yeah,
Proof.
it was a tough one. It was a really really tough one. And like I said, I saw Turning Point USA when it was just a campus organization that was just struggling to get started and was really operating in the shadow of much more established groups like the College Republicans or Young America's Foundation, which nobody even thinks about those guys anymore, but they used to control the speaker circuit. And it grew into a real activist organization that was
Mhm.
doing like real voter reg, real GOTV, like stuff that any real worker, any guy who really does the work would be absolutely proud of. And Charlie Kirk, he worked hard. He had a lot of gifts. Some of them absolutely natural. He's an intelligent guy. He's a great speaker. He had great family. He had a lot of support. He had financial backing, but with all the gifts that God and circumstances gave him, he worked really really hard and quite frankly tirelessly and with a undying vision of reshaping this country to be something better. And it makes me think like, okay, I've worked a similar career. If I got shot tomorrow, there certainly wouldn't be a national outcry. So I think this is a challenge to all of us to try to make a larger impact with our own lives and to try to, to not sit back and let the world around us happen to us. Because again, it's like those plastic bags. If we're complacent, the world's just going to get worse. It takes the actions of good people to make the world a better place.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does. As you were talking, From the start of your story, really, I started to wonder, and I just a curiosity because you do work in the news media and you report the news, and um, how do you how do you go through all of the information that's out there? Like specifically on this story, it's almost like every hour there's something new, and you don't even as me as somebody's just going online. I'm like, what is real? What's not real?
Um, I mean, I've been doing this for a little while, right? So I definitely wasn't as news savvy, even working in politics, right? So I'll
They don't want us to know.
They
They
just
don't.
don't want to. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Oh my gosh. This is, you know what? This is a great podcast episode.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, Chris. I was saying that they don't want us to know.
Oh god.
no, these are the industry secrets. So I'll just say it quick before they boot me. I spent a lot of time online, way too much, way too much. I'm just on Twitter a lot. I started following a lot of the right accounts. I mean, quite frankly, information aggregates on X really quickly, and you have to just follow the right people and be able to have a discerning eye and like kind of a BS sniffer. And I'll say, I didn't pay attention to national politics to the same degree before 2016. I was much more focused on like who my assembly members were and that sort of stuff because I felt like it had more of an impact on me. So then I got involved in news media and quite frankly, like 2020 happened and there was just so much happening all the time. And then, the riots were happening. And I was digging through a lot of information and I started doing deep dives into Antifa. And, I mean, honestly, it was just, this isn't a talent. These are skills that I built up through spending an inordinate amount of time digging through information online. And I think I'm aided in that through just way too much caffeine and playing a lot of video games as a kid. I think the clinical term is the ADHD, but I don't like labels.
You graduated with the bags, though, right?
With the bags?
No. I mean the grocery bags, the 10-cent bags. That
Oh
was your
god.
graduation, and you're in the media now.
Yes, certainly. I graduated with the bags and then I earned the bags.
Oh god. I do want to mention though, this is not a confirmed I guess news story, whatever, but I did see a post on Instagram that they want to make October 14th the Remembrance Day of Charlie Kirk.
Yes, I did see that was introduced and actually speedily passed. I saw that it passed through the House. I'm not sure if it's actually
Oh,
passed.
man. But go ahead and give me your thoughts on that, making October 14th Remembrance Day for him.
I'll be honest. I think as a nation we do need that day to we do need a day to actually take in the life of Charlie Kirk. I,
Hmm.
I I've followed him. I'm a little bit older. Okay, so I'm more of the generation of Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was really young when I first saw him, and he was going to college campuses, so I couldn't relate. I had already graduated college, so but I really liked what he was doing, and I've always tuned in to watch some of his clips. So I think that as a nation, he's at the national level. He's due a level of remembrance. So October 14th, I think if it does happen, it'll be a great a great way to honor Charlie Kirk. And
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if Chris comes back, I'd love to know what he knows. Is it going to happen? I think he said that it did pass. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's awesome news. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I also want to mention too that Erica Kirk, now the new CEO of Turning Point USA,
I saw that, and
has that been confirmed?
I think that's great. I think it's great that his wife is going to be taking over um, the uh, the organization.
Mhm.
What really got me flustered was that the left, or a lot of the people on the left, started throwing in their opinions on why would the wife take over. And they started saying things like, why would, because I guess there's, they, as a married person, you have discussions with your spouse. If something happened with me, this is where I would want it to go. So the left is like, did he know something was going to happen? And it's like, you got to be kidding me. Or not even not just the left, but just conspiracy theorists are like, did he know something was going to happen? Like, no, you
I'm
don't.
so glad that you said that because I'm also saying uh he talked about, I guess, in one of his like podcasts or on a podcast or something like that, about Netanyahu and like the whole Israel. I don't know a whole lot about that stuff, so I'm not going to mention anything. I also don't want to get killed. I want to mention I am not suicidal, so if anything happens to me after mentioning this, um, but
Yeah,
people
and neither am I.
people were saying that
I am a fan of Israel.
he, he there's a like a link between that too, though. That's what some people are saying.
Yeah, I don't really dive too much into foreign states getting involved in that situation. I think that there's other online commentators that have made more of a stink in concern to Israel, like
Mhm.
Candace Owens. Why go after Charlie Kirk when he's barely said anything about it?
Yeah.
Um, so that's just my opinion.
And while we have you, Chris, talk about it. The Remembrance Day of Charlie Kirk.
You said it passed.
Yeah, yeah. So October 14th, I mean, it is his birthday too, from what I understand. And I agree with what you're saying. I think it'd be a good thing for the nation to recognize this universally as a moment that we need to acknowledge. Hey, we're not a nation that stifles speech with violence. We're a nation that, no matter what you're saying, believes that you have the right to say it. Granted, you don't deserve a late night show to say it on necessarily, but you also don't deserve to get slaughtered in the street for it. And I think that's a pretty clear line that we could draw as a country with a lot of easy distinction to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since you brought up uh, the retaliation, I'd like to transition here to something that's happening here in California specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Proposition 50, which the reason my transition is has to do with Governor Gavin Newsom's new website, the FAFO.
Gosh, take it away, Gio, because I'm going to say things I shouldn't say.
Well, you fool around and find out, right, Donald Trump? Fool around with California, you're going to find out. And so if you take away Democratic uh, representation from Texas, we're going to take away Republican representation here in California, even though it's already way disproportionate, right? It's way
Yeah.
disproportionate. I mean, compared to how we voted in the last couple of elections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's an important point that a lot of people don't realize when they're talking about this. Everyone wants to make it about, naked power grabs when realistically, yes, Texas does actually have Republicans underrepresented. California has, Texas has Republicans underrepresented, and so does California, and they want to make California worse. So, what a lot of people, I don't think, fully realize about this conversation, if they're not taking everything into full consideration, is when you redraw a district, 9 times out of 10, you're probably, if it's a very safe district and you're trying to cut up these Democrat districts, you have to include those Democrat districts in a previously safe Republican district, right? That would make that district more competitive and potentially more difficult for Republicans to hold. That's what happens in a state with a relatively equal, very spread out population like Texas.
Mm-hmm.
California, that's not what's happening. Due to population density disparity, what can happen in a place like Orange County is you could have some quiet beachside communities like Seal Beach or Huntington Beach, or adjacent communities like Westminster or Garden Grove, and have those cut into pieces and then fed into much larger, much more population dense, much, much more liberal places in Los Angeles, essentially cutting Orange County, feeding it to LA, to districts who are entirely populated by, going to get controversial here, people who are on welfare basically getting paid to vote Democrat full time. What do you think is going to happen to Republican seats, and more importantly, Republican?
They don't like Chris today. They really don't
This
like Chris.
is
I,
hilarious. Oh
that's a
my.
take that I have. People are afraid to talk about what he just brought
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true that because I have watched since I've become a voter when I hit 18. um, Orange County has always been a Republican county, and every election it's moved slowly towards becoming. They always say it's becoming more and more purple, and it's like, come on, Chris, what do you think? You think it's really? Oh, I'm all alone here. Let me bring my guest back in. I'm sorry. Well, I guess I'm here alone. So, um, yeah. So since I've started voting here in California, I've noticed counties like Orange County, El Dorado County, where I've lived before, Sacramento County, Fresno County, all of these counties slowly moving away from representation of Republicans, which to me is odd that you look at the way we've voted in the just let's just look at the last election. Just the last election. I like to bring this up a lot when I talk about this. I like to bring up here in California. Um, California voted in the last election. Donald Trump won, or excuse me, Donald Trump lost, but he lost with 38% of the vote in California. Schmidt Schiff, Adam Schiff, won his election with about 50 something percent. So he lost by almost 50%. So it's a lot closer than the 80% representation that the Democrats get out of California. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I, if you're paying attention, right? I'm not sure why it keeps bringing people in and out. They really don't want us talking about these things here in California. I'm going to move on from Prop 50. I'm going to start talking about California AB 144. AB 144 was a new bill snuck in under our noses. Um, it was, uh, you know what? I think, Chris, do you know about California AB 144?
144. I refresh my memory. Which one is that? Is that the one that they just did that was
Just signed in.
transferring not God, I want to say ownership, custody of children away from parents if they were detained by ICE, or am I getting that conflated?
No, that's 495. Let me bring you into AB 144 real quick. I want to tell you the tweet from Senator Scott Wiener for our watchers right now who are watching the revolving doors of guest and host. Senator Scott Wiener
Yes.
tweeted this. And this was what led to California AB 144. The more Trump tears things down, especially on public health and science, the more California will step up to take care of business at the state level. Trump is destroying the CDC and making it harder for people to get vaccines. California is picking up the slack, now moving toward our own CDC. So they've prepared the bill. It made it
Mm-hmm.
through the Senate and Assembly here in California, and it has
Mm-hmm.
been signed in by Gavin Newsom as of yesterday. So, you know, at the federal level, you have uh, Kennedy, who is trying his best to quit or stop the CDC from enforcing jabs that haven't been um, really uh, they didn't go through the right process, right? We're all getting the needle stuck in us with this juice that we don't know what effects it's going to have on us. In fact, there's been reports of myocarditis, uh, all sorts of adverse effects. And now, because he is removing the enforcement, you no longer have to get jabbed. You can't mandate that. California's going to step up to the plate, and what are they going to do? Why are they doing this? Is it so that they can enforce the jab here in California? I don't know. I don't expect them to do that, but they want to have some sort of control for the next pandemic, as if
Yeah.
they're expecting another pandemic. McKenna, I'll let you jump in there because I feel like I just said a mouthful and I'm stealing the show.
You did, because you lost me at one point, then you lost Chris, and I'm so sorry to everyone watching because I have no idea what's happening tonight. This has never happened before. There's all this tech issue, so I want to apologize to our viewers tonight for that. But I also want to say, back in 2020, when all of it happened, when the vaccine first came out, I was working at Walgreens at the time. I was in college. Not to age myself, I'm the youngest person on here, I feel like. Um,
You are. You don't feel like it. You are.
yeah, it's fine. I'm 24. It's fine. But so yeah. But I was working at Walgreens at the time, and I was like, they offered us. We're kind of one of the first people to get the shot or be offered it. Like, oh, if you want to do it, you don't have to, but you can do it for free. I was like, you know what? I want to be elaborate. I want to see how this happens. So I got both shots, but do I think it needs to be mandated? No. Do I think there needs to be booster shots? No. Um, should not be forced upon us. So
Well,
I'm
McKenna,
for
I'm
vaccines,
sorry,
but not
McKenna.
enforcement vaccines. So.
McKenna, I'm very sorry, but Gavin Newsom did just sign in the new California Center for Disease Control. I don't know what they'll call it, but that's essentially what's been signed in. California will now have its own CDC.
That's crazy. Is that even federally like allowed? I feel like there's a federal violation there.
Well, I think CDC sets the CDC sets the precedent. They set the
Oh,
rules, but to say that the states have to follow them, I think that's where it's going to end up being, where the Supreme Court has to step in and like, what does the Supreme Court really have to do with the medical issues? But they're going to have to step in and do that now again. So we'll see where that goes. I'm really waiting to see and expect to see some pushback on it, hoping
mm,
at least. But it made it through the House and Assembly here in California. If that's something that you don't think should have happened, to our listeners and to our future listeners too, you know, you got to think about this when you go in to vote. For some reason we get what like a 50%, 50 to 60% of vote
mm,
to Adam Schiff. Well, these are the kind of things he's doing, and to the guy that first introduced it was Scott Wiener. Like, how is he getting voted in still? I just think I just think you have to have a thicker neck to propose these sort of bills.
yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and to touch on the bill that uh, that Chris had brought up, AB
Yeah.
495, that one is also
Oh,
sitting on that one is right now sitting on Gavin Newsom's desk.
so it
I haven't I have
passed the
not
state,
seen it
passed
passed the Assembly, it passed the Senate.
now.
I have not seen that it's been signed in by Gavin Newsom yet.
I
Um,
haven't heard anything. Oh, I pray he doesn't.
I pray he doesn't. And for our listeners, AB 495 is the bill that 495 is the bill that enforces having to um, allow schools to accept an affidavit that is signed allegedly, right? This is all
Mm-hmm.
this is all theoretically because it hasn't been signed in yet. There will be an affidavit that allows parents to set up um, a contact, like a coach, a mentor,
Yes.
a family friend, somebody that can go in and pick up a child from school. Now, the issue that we've had with it here at Lead, the issue that a lot of Republicans or conservative voters have had here in California with that bill is that because the affidavit, the way it's set up is if somebody like is getting deported by ICE or somebody for some reason is getting deployed, as if our military just comes and takes our soldiers in the middle of the day without notification. If somebody is arrested or somebody is ill, um, the affidavit could just be printed up, signed, filled in, and taken to the school, and the child can be then checked out to that individual with the affidavit. The concern here, or what we call the loophole, is that a bad actor can just print that out, fill it out. It's gonna look real. I mean, who's to say that it's not real? You find out
Yeah.
that the parent was in an accident. I don't know. Something happened with the parent. Maybe the bad actor did something. And now the bad actor goes to the school with this affidavit, checks the child out, and now you have an abduction. There's no checks and balances. It's not like the old emergency contact that let's open the file up and see who the parent decided should pick up the child. Well, no, no, we're now taking it further and allowing the child to go out with somebody that alleges because they have a document that they promises is real, uh, or it's perjury, right? Because a bad actor cares about perjury. So that's our concern. We ask if you're against that, you got to call Gavin Newsom and talk to him. Tell him what you think. Welcome back, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to interject about this particular issue because I feel like this is one of those things where it shows Democrats' tendency to be superficially empathetic, but actually their misplaced empathy leads to a lot of very negative consequences. So this is one of those things, particularly with immigration. Homelessness and immigration are the two where their false and shallow empathy leads to a lot of negative consequences.
Absolutely, it does. Uh, I really agree. I've been thinking that all day with how these bills are written up.
Yeah.
You this one was specifically written up in retaliation to the immigration customs enforcement going into Los Angeles or other cities in California,
But the
and
problem is it actually doesn't address that.
it doesn't address that, but it makes it look like the Democrat Party is doing something. It makes it
Yeah.
look like they're empathetic, as Chris said. It makes it seem as if they're making some sort of movement, some sort of grand gesture, but really
Yeah.
they're not. They're leaving holes open all over the place. And what are we supposed to do as voters? We're just gonna what?
They expect us just to allow it.
And that's the problem when we do go vote for things. As we learn, when these things can start to continue to come out, as we learn what's really happening, we go back and we vote and we reverse these things like we did with the crime bills. So great point, Chris. Um, who we keep losing. Um, Chris, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. I uh,
This never happens, which is crazy to me. So this is a first. This is going
No, you
forward.
know what? And as lead, we have 6 different shows, and every show has had guests on, and we've never lost somebody. Um,
It's crazy to me. Yeah.
never lost
This is a
somebody like
first.
this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, something's going on over there. It might just be Chris's internet. Um,
Possibly.
but and that's okay. I have to say that I really appreciate him coming on, and his views have been really spot on today. I mean, you might not agree with him, but from my standpoint, he's hitting some really good points.
Yes. Please stay. I said it just, just last.
He didn't even get to hear me thank him for coming on.
I know. Oh my gosh. Well,
Well,
thanks for
that
watching.
and
So sorry.
yeah, um, that's that's all I brought. That's all the notes that I brought, Mac. I do appreciate you having me on.
No, I'm so thankful that you helped out. So I could have totally done it by myself, but seeing that we have tech issues, I'm glad I have someone helping me out tonight. Um, I'm seeing some comments in here like, what the heck is happening? Trust me, I know. You watched CUF, never happened before, so so well, glad I
Yeah,
have team leads a team, so
Chris,
it's all about teamwork.
I know you're in the studio here. We appreciate you coming on. We
Yeah,
wanted to close up, but not without you.
I'm sorry the tech stuff gave us so much problem, guys, but it was a lot of fun talking with you.
Of course. And as I was mentioning, you brought some great points. And whether
Yeah.
or not our listeners agree with everything you said, I think you gave a good argument for your perspectives, um, and a lot of them I agree with. A lot of them I agree with. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on,
Yeah.
Matt. Can I give a shout out? Can I be
Yeah,
selfish?
go ahead.
Can
Of
I be
course.
selfish as a lead host?
Mhm.
So California Unfiltered, obviously, is our first show of the week. We kick it off with a blast with you, Makenna Blackman, and Daniel Silvas,
Mhm.
um, uh, Monday nights at 6 o'clock, starting next week. If you've got something to do on Monday at 6 o'clock, I suggest you cancel it because the show's going to be great. And then following that. We will be at a point where we will be at a point on Mondays very soon where we'll have a show that is going to be moving to the 8 o'clock slot, and we'll announce that in the near future. On
Yep.
Tuesdays is my show. Don't mind us. We come on every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Um, it is. You know what? California Unfiltered is you guys are polished and a beautiful show. Tuesday nights is it's messy and we bring in all the smoke. We bring in all the smoke and there's a little bit of bad words in there. So that's why we call it "Don't Mind Us" because me and my co-host we like to have a lot of fun, and if you're okay with your kids hearing uh, a little a little bad word here and there, then let them join you. If not, go to the bedroom, you and your wife, or you and your girlfriend, um, uh, or whoever your boyfriend, your husband. Take them to the bedroom and have some fun with us on Tuesday nights. Wednesday nights is again another polished show, Latino Free Minds, with Daniel Reyes and Danny. Uh, I don't know if Danny wants me to say his last name. We'll just call him Danny. Uh, Thursday
There's
nights,
so many Daniels in lead.
we have too many Daniels. We're at our Daniel limit right now. Uh,
Yes.
Thursday
Just
nights
ways of
at
saying pause.
7 o'clock, we have um, uh, Cali Calimente Libre, which is a Spanish show. It's a lot like Latino Free Minds.
Mhm.
It's with Karina Powers, and she comes on. And for the Spanish speaking community, she is updating them on everything that's happening in California. She's very thorough. She makes sure that nothing is missed because there is a lack of information for the Hispanic community. Uh, that's because our media, or the media that is in Spanish, Telemundo, Univision, it's all very left leaning. Think
Mhm.
Jorge Ramos. Uh, and then following that, at 8 o'clock is La Patria, which is our show with Alfred, and he comes on, and his co-host Natasha. They have their show where they interview. Um, Prominent Hispanic people from that are working in different communities here in the United States. Um, I mean, their interviews are great. Again, they're in Spanish. Um, so if you want to throw the subtitles on and watch the English subtitles, that's great. But if you're a Spanish speaker, I highly recommend it because man, they get some great perspectives from people all over the country. And then Friday nights is our fighter, Daniel. Another I'm so sorry, everybody. We have another Daniel on Friday nights with Point Blank Truth. Daniel
Mhm.
Molina comes out and he works very close with the school board down in his down in his area, and he brings a lot of exposure to what's happening in the school boards, and not just in his area. I mean, they talk about things that even I, in the Central Valley of California, when they talk about things like um, uh, the online. My kids have the online. They call it iClever and
Mm.
iReady. It's these programs that the kids are using, and Daniel and and some of the people he's had on, they talk about these things and they open your mind to, like, specifically with like these iReady programs. You sign uh, uh, your basically your children's information. The kids are on there all day at school. They come home and their homework is in there, and they sell that data to who? We don't know who they're
Oh,
selling that data to. He'll have the Marine Rapper on soon. And he's also been doing some work out there with Sanjay Shah. He was at uh, just like McKenna, he was at the Republican
I did get to meet her for the
convention.
first time too,
You
so
did get to meet him. Yeah,
very, very, quickly though.
yeah, he's a former Marine, and brilliant guy. I actually had the honor of coming on his show a few weeks ago, and you know what? He's got a way of making his guests open up because I was not ready to spill the beans that I spilled. And that show is up on YouTube. All the shows are on YouTube. Um, my cheat to find all of the lead shows, I always go look up Latino Free Minds, and on the main page, if you scroll down a little bit, there's links to all of our shows. And be sure, if you're not subscribed to California Unfiltered, subscribe to it on YouTube, subscribe to it, or if you want to subscribe to it on X, follow California Unfiltered, but also follow some of the other shows. Tune in and see
We
if you
all need
like it. If you don't like it, then hate share it. If you like it, then love share it. And be sure to give it a like. Sorry, Mac. I know that was long winded. I had to get that
oh,
out there. I had to.
no, I appreciate it because I would have missed some stuff, so I'm glad you gave a detailed, thorough kind of touch on that. But yes, all publicity is good publicity for us. The lead team, we're all a team. We work together clearly. So support my podcast and Daniel Silva's podcast, along with Gio's and everybody else's too. We appreciate it. So yes, and we are expanding. And if you're interested in doing a podcast, talk to some of us, and maybe we can help you out, work with you in doing that too. I also want to mention in October, next month, the 25th and 26th, which is a Saturday and Sunday, I will be in Reading. Daniel Silvas, if he doesn't do his normal Daniel Silvas fashion, is always late to stuff, will be in Reading at the Home Tribe Convention. I will be giving a 45-minute talk on the trans issue in our schools, indoctrination and protecting charter schools. DM me on Instagram if you want to get 50% off. Oh, no, excuse me, 20% off. I miss advertising here. 20% off your ticket. Um, I will be speaking, and Daniel and Silvas and I will be doing Media Row. So come chat with us. Come see some other speakers. We would love to have you. So
Well, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it.
yeah, thank you
And
so much.
just one last thing, if you're wondering what's happening in California, we do have a discussion where all of our hosts, we all talk about the things going on, and when there's something that is really something that people in California need to know. And
Mhm.
and I say this because this is California Unfiltered. That you guys are the California show. There's going to be a point where Don't Mind Us is going to talk about things at a national level, even
Mhm.
though we're really focusing on California right now. But California Unfiltered, right? Um, when we see things happening in California, we'll go and make an informative clip to let you know what's going on, and we post it on our group page. It's at Lead Unite on Instagram. Be sure to follow that there, and you'll see clips from a variety of our hosts and some of our media partners that in the background we are creating links with people that I am sure a lot of our listeners right now know, and you're going to be surprised to see them on our Instagram page pretty soon too. And it's good content. It's very informative, and we try our very best to make sure that all the information that we give you is
Hmm.
accurate. We're talking with people in the background. We're gathering information. We're trying to vet it, and you know, don't be surprised if you see a clip from uh, Lead Unite, and 3-4 weeks later you see the California GOP post a video with the same information, because I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, did they steal our scripts? Uh, so be sure to keep watching.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have any suggestions about who we should interview, always let us know. So we'd love some ideas. But that's all I have for tonight. Jill, any last few comments before I play our wonderful promo?
No, I'm gonna let you close this one up, Mac.
Okay. Well, just as a reminder, California Filter will now be moved to 6 p.m. Monday nights live. Hopefully, Daniel Silvas will show up on time. But hopefully, we'll have a wonderful new guest that night. Any suggestions, let me know. But with that, Jill, I thank you so much for coming on tonight, helping me out, especially all the tech issues. You saved my life. But thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.